Hello everyone. Today we will look over how to convert a complex number into polar form. If you haven't checked my video on how to convert a rectangular coordinate to polar coordinate, check that out because the formulas given in that video are very similar to the one that we will go over today. And today is just the introduction to complex numbers to polar form. Later on, we will go over some more stuff like De Moivre's theorem and other operations using complex numbers. So let's say z is a complex number in a rectangular form, which is a plus bi. And we all know I is square root of -1, which is an imaginary number. So how do you convert this to polar form? The polar form of a complex number is r times cosine theta plus I sine theta. That is the polar form. R is the radius of a circle and theta is just the angle. So how do you convert the rectangular form to polar form? So let's say an imaginary plane. This is the real part. This is the real part, the real axis, and this is the imaginary. And the point here is A, and this is B. Very similar to the one when converting from rectangular coordinate to polar coordinate, but the difference is this has an imaginary number. And we know that we can make a right triangle with this, with the hypotenuse called r, and we can use the Pythagorean theorem to get r squared equals a squared plus b squared. And we can take the square root on both sides to isolate r. R equals square root of a squared plus b squared. So this is how you will find r. And how you will find theta. I'll just give you the formula. Theta will equal arctan of b over a. So these are the formulas that you will need to convert and imagine a complex number into polar form. If you want to know how you derive these formulas, you can check my video in the description. Now we will look over some examples. Keep in mind that this form is not only used to convert to polar form, it can also be used to compute an imaginary number. Like if you, let's say, square this or put this to an exponent of 5 to the power of 5, you can convert it to polar form and find the answer. We will go over that in another video. But today, we will just see how to convert a complex number to polar form. All right, let's say an example 3 plus 4i. Convert this to polar form. And we know that in polar form, it should be in terms of r and theta. R times cosine theta plus I sine theta. It should be like that. So let's use the formulas given before to find it. So to find r, it's the square root of a squared plus b squared. This is our a and this is our b. So r equals square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, which also equals square root of 9 plus 16 square root of 25 or 5. So we know r equals 5. But what about theta? For theta, we can use the formula given before. Arctan of b over a. This is our a, this is our b. So we just plug them in. Arctan of 4 over 3. Now you can use your calculator to find the answer. So arctan of 4 over 3 is 53.13 degrees. You can also write the answer in radians. So if you wanted your answer to be in radians, it would be 0.92 radians, but it's just your preference which one you want to use. Theta, what we can write as 53 degrees, however you want to round your answer. So our final answer, the real polar form of this complex number is 5 cosine of 53 degrees plus I sine 53 degrees. The figure can be in radians or degrees, it's your choice. Let's look at another example. All right, let's say v equals 3 plus square root of 3i. So first, let's find what is r. So r equals square root of 3 squared. We're using the formula for before. You should have that. 3 squared plus square root of 3 squared. So r equals 9 plus 3. The square root and the square cancels out, which equals square root of 12. So this is our r value. Remember, polar form of a complex number is r times cosine theta plus I sine theta. So we know our r is square root of 12. Now let's find theta. Our theta is arctan of square root of 3 over 3. You can use a calculator, but if you know the unit circle, this equals pi over 6 radians or 30 degrees. It is your choice which one you want to use. So I will write in the radians. The final answer is square root of 12 times cosine of pi over 6 plus I sine of pi over 6. This is all for today. This is just to introduce you how to convert a complex number to polar form. Remember this form. Later we will look over how to use this form to do various operations using complex numbers.